Sometimes there's things that science can't explain, and I'm sure there is a way for science to explain this, but I'm gonna explain it in the woo-woo crunchy granola way that I kind of feel it in my body. My name's Quinn, I'm a gender-affirming vocal coach. Let's talk about resonance placement in the weirdest way that I still feel like works. When I'm thinking about my resonance and where my voice is bouncing around inside my body, the way I visualize it is, and it was explained to me this way too, people use this theory out there, is kind of like a turn dial on the side of your face. Where are you pointing the intention of your voice? And the science part of me really hates that because it goes more towards feelings and vibes rather than like activating certain muscle groups. But sometimes it's helpful to bisect the part of your brain that wants to overthink everything we do and just feel some stuff for a second. So, if we are thinking about where my finger is pointing, I will show you where my voice is kind of aimed at, if you will. So, if I'm thinking about my voice right now, I'd say it's probably right back here across like the back wall of my mouth. But if I start thinking about my voice living a little bit higher, almost by like my soft palate, I immediately flip into more of a head voicey kind of thinner configuration. This is habitual. It's not like a flip for everybody, but thinking of placing it higher, then I start getting this. It's still a darkly resonant feminine sound, but it's definitely higher placed towards this little soft palatey area towards my pharyngeal wall. If I start going up my nose and I start aiming my sound inside my sinuses, that's when you really get this nasalized sound, which a lot of people are afraid of getting, but trust me, most of the time, it might feel like you have a nasally voice when you first start flipping into more head voicey kind of buzzy sounds up here. I have a trick to share with you just to prove that most of them aren't nasal, but if I'm talking through my nose and then I pinch my nose and now my fingers are buzzing, that means it's truly a nasalized sound. So by aiming, hanging up all the way up inside my sinuses, that's where you get this really kind of like meh, buzzy, obnoxious sound. If I keep going and then I start thinking almost like the place like roof of my mouth, kind of like right behind my front teeth kind of vibe, a little high up, like the lowest part of my sinuses, right here. That's when I start getting into this area. If I start thinking about like my front teeth, obviously I do a little bit more facial action, kind of thinking about like dentalizing my resonance. I think of this like super saccharine and sweet. So when we're all the way up here in this like upper mandible sinusy kind of region, it is very highlighted by these very bright, buzzy, resonant sounds. The second that I start jumping to my lower jaw, you'll hear how this flips, or at least it does in my body, how I feel it. So if I'm thinking about going from my front teeth down to my lower teeth, you can already hear that there's a lot more like darkness that kind of has been accentuated just by how I've changed my oral cavity and my configuration. And then if I start thinking about even lower, there's some stuff going on with like the root of my tongue and where my larynx is. I can feel a little bit lower. You can hear the vocal weight coming in. And so when I start thinking about going all the way down, this probably isn't the way that I would want to ever sound in public. This is kind of like more of a cartoonish kind of voice, where I'm really forcing my larynx down. You can almost see how I'm accenting my voice with my lower lip like that as well. There's just a lot of heavy weight in this lower mandible, kind of affecting my resonance where my sound is buzzing. If we go back the way we came, kind of thinking of the back wall, this is where my neutral's at. If I start thinking about the back wall of my mouth, this is kind of where you get into the Patrick Star area, and you start thinking about all the low sounds in that space. And it's kind of muffly because it's not a very efficient resonator back here at the back wall of the mouth. So that's my little tour of how I move my voice around in space and time, thinking of this little toggle. If you are someone who really thrives off of mimicry, feel free to rewatch this and talk along with me, seeing how this affects your body. Use your finger when you use your hands when you're using your voice. It's often a really, really lovely tool to kind of bring the two worlds together. So use your hand. If you have echolalia or love mimicry, play it back again and let me know how this exploration feels for you. Like I said, it's more about intention, where you're kind of placing the activation of these little muscle groups. But yeah, I find it very, very helpful in kind of mapping out what's going on inside the body. Let me know if there's any words that I used also that you would like further elaboration upon. My name's Quinn. If this is the first time I'm coming across your page, hey, I'm Quinn. I'm a gender-affirming vocal coach. I do this day in, day out. I'm a non-binary they, them. I'm a little vocal weirdo. If you like this kind of stuff, definitely please follow my page. If you're interested in lessons, check out the link in my bio. Send me a message and I'll reach back out to you at my earliest availability opens up. And until then, enjoy having fun with your voice. And remember, if you feel any stress or tension, It's probably not supposed to be there. And you can get the most out of your work sometimes if you try the least, which is infuriating advice that even I have to give myself from time to time. So have fun with your voice, honor its boundaries, stay hydrated, stay curious, and I'll see you all again soon.